I'm using the Safari browser.
What's up, y'all? It's Dr. Paul with Liberty Hill Comics. You are watching episode 82, the greatest comic book conservation live show on the planet. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Woo! How you guys doing? Oh, we got that echo.
Good. How you doing there, Ross?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Well, I
man.
just turned the iPad off.
I'm doing great. I'm going to just let everybody know right now, I got to get to bed early tonight. Tomorrow is the 126th annual Audubon Christmas bird count, at least one of the ones I'm doing. And we got to get up early to catch the birds before we miss them all.
Well, what they say, early bird.
I think there was that poll that went around on social media about the top 10 or worst 10 hobbies that are turnoffs for women or something like that.
Yeah,
I think comic books and Magic the Gathering and bird watching were all on there, and I'm just wondering if I could somehow get 10 out of 10. Although I think gambling was super high, and that's never gonna be me. So,
well, you do have a trifecta, so
I do. In fact, I guess I could go look at that list. I may even have more. Tell me more, Professor. He went on an owl prowl last night. Ooh, I want to know what species did you see? Before we get into that, how are y'all, Captain? You're not in your normal digs in California.
No, I am in my hotel room in Incheon, South Korea right now.
Ooh,
it is currently a little bit before 11 a.m. So I just was running around trying to race back here for the show. But yeah, I'm not home. I'm not going to be home for a month, guys. It sucks because I want to work on comic books.
Yeah.
But the holiday season's coming. So
yeah.
Gotta refocus. I gotta work, then refocus.
Yeah, we're wrapping up getting the Christmas presents out. Hanukkah's already started, and it's happening. We got the tree up, so I'm in the Christmas spirit. I cut a tree down this year myself.
How was that?
Murderer.
Yeah, I felt that way. I was kind of looking around, which one of these trees do I want to murder?
Dr. Paul doesn't care about the environment.
Right. Well, you know what? I feel like it's got to be better though than buying a tree that's already been cut down. I mean, that one, in addition to being cut down, also burned fossil fuels to get hauled to wherever you are, right? So, yeah, well, I don't know. But I enjoyed it. And, I think it is sustainable. And I like the smell.
I love trees.
Well, yeah, of course.
The fakies just don't smell.
No, well, they don't smell at all. Yeah,
well,
we've got a fake tree set up, so.
They have the fake tree, but then they also have the little diffusers that put pine scent into the air as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
well, we always had a real tree growing up, and if somebody just once forgot to water the tree, yeah, it was game over.
the needles dropped the next day like the Whomping Willow. Yeah. I think we always had a real tree, and I do remember growing up in Michigan and going out into the tree park and cutting them down a few times when I was little with my dad and my brother, and that was fun. Yeah, I don't know. It's that time of year. And I am excited about it. How about you there, Phil?
Oh, who, me? Hey, gentlemen. I guess this must mean it's Sunday night, and we're here to talk comics and comic conservation specifically. If you're here, that means you like to nerd out with us, where we like to talk about work done on these old books, not just the old books. We're super nerds. And as always, Drowning in Comics, coming live from the border of Brooklyn and Queens here in New York City, or maybe in Aunt May's attic, who knows. Jason in the chat, I'm sure you're there. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Happy to see what this cool Batman book is that you found. And I'm excited to share what you guys don't even know is the B segment. Hooray. So
I also have like a really short C segment, and it's a book that I'm going to show off.
Oh.
And that's the back cover, so
I already know what it is.
It's pre-war. It's pre-war. So
you're showing your backside. I could only guess that it's some early DC golden age of some sort. DC character golden.
Captain, it's goodness. That's all I'm going to say for now. We're going to leave it to the end. That's a teaser.
All right, surprise. It's a teaser. Okay.
Let's get started. Before we get started, let's thank today's sponsors. If you're watching this show live, you're watching it ad-free. Thanks to Collecting Chaos, Sales Boy Comics, You Plucked My Last Comic, The Archivist Adrift, and Gorilla Monkey 3K. Thank you all so much. We appreciate your generosity. It really helps us defray costs for the show and lets other people enjoy it ad-free watching live. So thank you so much for that. While we're at it, let's say hi to the chat. You Pluck My Last Comic is here. Collecting Chaos is here. Mike is here. What's up, Mike? JCP is here. Greetings from Frigid, Ohio. The Professor Peter Alachi's here. Collecting Chaos. I already said. It's hard to sort of scan these as I go. Aaron Conyers and Collecting Chaos already with the super chat for today. Thank you. Next week is sponsored. Appreciate you. Gorilla Production 73 is here. That's the former Gorilla Monkey 3K. Space Baby's here. Welcome to the show. Don Carter's here. Gorilla Production 73 with the super chat. Thank you. We already have 2 sponsors for next week's show. We appreciate you. And check out their channel.
Are we having a next week's show?
I think we should do a next week's show. It's a couple days after Sunday, right? I'm sorry. It's a few days before Christmas. And then we're going to do in between Christmas and New Year, we're going to do our year-end wrap-up. I don't know. I'm down to do a show.
I won't be present. I'm going to be traveling next Sunday. So
you want to do a show, Phil? Germany, I kind of want to.
It depends. I should be here, but to be
all right. I'm going to do a show. Whoever wants to join me can join me. Vulu, welcome. Rick,
there you go. How about
that? Is here. Welcome, and the aforementioned Sales Boy Comics is here. Welcome, everyone. Oh, not peepee jokes. Do something more clever than that, Jason. You got to make me laugh. Come
on. Children.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're doing next week. And check out the Facebook group. Every time we mention it out loud, we have a few more people join each week. And I love that. It's a great place. It's the comic book conservation community, and it's a great place to learn from others, get some camaraderie going, some collaborations, some attaboys for your work, and just discuss all things conservation.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Post it there. Also, if
we had a great show last week, so
yeah, and if you're not aware of all of the social media footprints of all the different comic book conservators, most of them are posting there, so it's a good place to kind of get caught up each week as well. Ben Stewart, welcome to the show. So I think without further ado, we'll jump into our A segment, and I'm excited for this, but I think I may have the wrong layout. Yeah, let's switch to this layout. There we go. So as per usual, I did an A segment around a conserved comic book that sold in the last week. And boy, did we have a doozy this week. And I just love it. Love the cover, love the book, love the era. Frankly, I I think it's a great conservation job. I was going to say love the conservation. I do love the conservation, but we'll talk about maybe opportunities even to do more. AG, welcome to the show. He says, sorry, I'm late. G.
Well,
know-
yeah, come on.
You're welcome to join anytime, AG. You didn't miss much. We just did Attaboys. We thanked our sponsors. And I did sneak peek the C segment, which is this book. It's a pickup. We're going to share it at the end. I'm excited about it. Sales Boy, thank you for the super chat. So Tech 37.
Awesome book.
Anybody care about this book? Anyone?
I would.
Phil does. I think we're all three caring about this book.
Yeah.
So
Any tech book that doesn't have Robin in it, I'm cool.
come on.
Yep.
That was my line. Tech 37, 59 copies universal. Median grade is a lowly 3.0 on this book. Man, is this a tough book. 83 all, including the restored, conserved, and qualified copies. 0 signatures. Yeah, tough book. 59 copies universal. And not because nobody cares to slab it. So why should we care? This is a genuine Finger and Kane story with a, as far as we know, genuine Kane cover. It's signed Kane, and there's no indication definitively that it is otherwise. Later issues, obviously, are Ghost signed by Kane, and they're drawn by someone in his studio. This is the 11th appearance of Batman, 7th cover appearance. So even though Batman was a huge hit, as we've discussed before in these anthologies, detective, action, even adventure, they would alternate the cover every other month so as to expose more of their characters and also so that they don't compete on the newsstands. So they were alternating Batman in tech and Superman in action. So even though this is his 11th issue of Detective Comics, it's only his 7th cover appearance, which is insane. And it's his last solo cover appearance for nearly a decade. So this is the last pre-Robin issue, as we talked about. Of course, Tech 38 is first appearance of Robin. After that, it's all Robin all the time. Every issue of Batman and every issue of Detective has both Batman and Robin on the cover, all the way up until 1949, when Batman finally gets another solo cover. It's actually kind of a neat cover. I think it's Tech 153, if I'm not mistaken. Another little interesting tidbit. So this story is pre-war story, and it's one of these interesting ones where it's kind of touching on the global tensions that have erupted into a Second World War, but that the United States has not yet entered. So the story is about some foreign saboteurs and a dock and ships and Batman foiling the saboteurs. The cover actually matches that story, which is interesting because in this era, the covers were more like pinups by and large. They didn't necessarily have this really early golden age pre-war stuff. The cover was not necessarily what was happening in the story. And we've talked about that a few times. When I was coming up and I was buying comics in the 80s and even back issues from the 70s and 60s, the cover was basically telling you something that was happening in the story. It was a hook, and it was directly related to the storyline. It had the characters that were in the story. Occasionally, they would do a bait and switch on you. But for the most part, it was basically kind of a splash taken out of the story, and it was meant to hook you and to give you some idea what the story was about. That ended, I feel like, in the late 90s. For me, I remember Ultimate Spider-Man just dropping that, just going to pinup covers. They were just all airbrush pinup covers. And after that,
I remember that.
Went back to that, right? So nowadays, I think you buy a comic book. I don't buy that many modern comics, but If you do, I think the covers are just pinups. They have very little to do. They may feature the characters inside, but other than that, have nothing to do with the story. In fact, some of them don't even have the characters inside, right? Like they do these sometimes alternate covers that just have a completely different character on them. So anyway, it's interesting little tidbit into comic book history that this particular one is an early detective cover that actually showcases what was happening inside the story.
Nice.
So, what are we to pay for Tech 37 in a 4.0 Universal? 2 sales in the last 12 months, trailing prices here. A 3.5 sold in January 2025 for 14.4. And I have to say, this was a beautiful looking 3.5. In many ways, I'm sure the technical grade is correct, but it looks better than our 4.0 here, and has off-white pages. That said, this market has come down a little bit. 3 sales prior to this, there was a 3.5 that sold for like 17 and change, if I'm not mistaken. So interesting. That's one price point we have. With only 59 Universal, you're not going to have that many sort of data points. The other data point I have to consider here is a 5.5 that sold April of this year for 22.8. Both of these sales were auctions on Heritage. The 5.5 also had off-white pages. Go Collect takes into account that you have price compression in the lower end of the grades and lists the 4.0 at 15. The 4.0, for what it's worth, is also the median value. So there are the highest number of copies in 4.0 in the census. So there would be theoretically a bit of a discount at that price point because of the number offered for sale there over time. So that said, I used the 15K. I don't have data suggesting we should do otherwise. So it does seem pretty close to the 3.5, but again, there's price compression here, and all the way up at 5.5 is only 23. So you can't say a 4.0 is worth 18, for example. It doesn't work out. You got to fit 4.5 and 5.0 in there. So again, this is a value judgment, and if you disagree with me, host your own show.
15, yeah, 15 is a fair guess at it.
Yeah, I mean,
for Universal,
I could see higher, but it is what it is. We gotta pick some number for our comparison here. So here's our book of interest, and it's a cool book. It presents reasonably well. We have this piece out of the bottom left of the front cover.
Yeah, that's a big detractor, but
and some staining. So you have a few defects here that keep it in the 4.0 range. Conservation includes, well, I guess I should say, we didn't talk about the date specifically, but March of 1940, so very squarely pre-war. This is very early stuff. I mean, I guess you kind of guessed that from it being the 11th appearance of Batman overall. Off-white to white pages, which is phenomenal for a book of this era. Spine split, sealed to cover, cover reinforced, and staples replaced are what we have in the conservation. And then the grader's notes indicate multiple stains right center of back cover, and we'll see those in a moment. Crease left top of front cover, piece out bottom of spine, crease right top of front cover, detached centerfold, spine split bottom of spine. It leaves
I want to
wondering.
Crack this book open.
Right. It leaves one wondering, right? So firstly, this was not really what I would consider lightly conserved, because you sealed the spine split and you reinforced the cover. So you've already, in my estimation, kind of crossed the Rubicon. Not that those couldn't be undone, but they connote a level of conservation beyond look, somebody got in here and actively worked on this book. It was disassembled, etc. Right? If you're going to go through
Well,
that,
yeah, the staple replaced.
if you're going to go through that trouble, you're all in on conservation. Why not take care of this spine split? Why not minimally reattach the centerfold?
I think somebody was probably going for universal and trying to sneak this one by. That's the only thing I can think.
After they sealed the spine, reinforced the cover. How do you think that? I mean, that's
maybe they're. I don't know. We're guessing here, but I agree. Why wouldn't you, if you're going to go that far, why not go all the way? But that's the only thing. I'm for certain thought that nobody would catch the staples replaced when they slipped it in, and spine split sealed the cover. I mean, I don't know, but definitely those wraps, the detached wraps. I mean, that's a gimme. I mean, you just fix that and put them back together.
It's either that or it's good enough as is. We got to get this submitted, so hurry up and get it submitted. So it's kind of
that's the other thing. It might be a customer book that somebody just didn't want to pay for the full Monty.
Or someone that owned the book themselves and they were doing it and they were like, "All right, it's good enough," and they just submitted it.
Sure. Yeah. I think for me. Possibly, unless you do the leaf casting, you're stuck with a 4.0 here, just because of the chunk missing. So then you go, why should I bother doing more? That said, I would just do the leaf casting if I didn't know how to do it.
Me too. No question. No question.
Right. But B, even if you're at a technical 4.0, if you get the centerfold reattached, why not just delete a few more of the defects from the grader's notes, right? Just that when someone sees this list of defects, look, here's two things that can just be gone. We can get rid of the spine split and we can get rid of the detached centerfold with really no more work than was already done. Don't you want the grader's notes to be as short a list as possible? I mean, that's your list of defects.
Yep.
Also,
well, with that piece missing, I was going to say, with that piece missing from the cover, what kind of grade bump are you looking at? Because you really got to determine that. Is this a 5 with that chunk missing? I don't think so. I think we're looking at maybe a 4.5 top, even if we fixed all that stuff.
Right. No. I was pointing. Yeah, I'm completely agreeing with you. That said, even if it's maxed out at 4, or as you say, maybe we can stretch to 4.5, I still want the grader's notes to be as short a list as possible. Just because if I'm the seller of this book, I want the list of defects to be short, right?
Yeah.
Further, I don't know, even if we leaf cast this corner, I don't know where this book tops out at. And Space Baby has this.
I would
question.
Stick to my guns at 4.5.
I don't know the answer. I wouldn't argue with you, Captain. I think maybe you can make the argument for a 5, but again, that's a stretch. I think.
Yeah, I think the 5 is a stretch.
So,
I think 5 is too big of a stretch.
So maybe you make the decision about the leaf casting not to do it. But again, leaving a centerfold.
It also depends on your skill set. If you're capable of doing leaf casting,
okay, but somebody sealed the cover though. Somebody sealed the spine split, but didn't finish the job. And to your point,
this is a big boy book, though. I mean, it's a 5-figure book.
This is what I'm saying. To your point earlier of someone was trying to get universal. I don't know who thinks Tech 37 is coming into CGC and they're just going to give it a quick once over and not catch their tear seal. I mean, they're going to find your tear seal.
I don't know.
Okay. So anyway, so I have lots of thoughts. I have questions. And I think, well, the other thing here is I think the staining holds this book back too. As I mentioned, that 3.5.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That 3.5 presents really well. It presents in really in many ways better than this 4.0. So I think the conservation work obviously was at a professional level. CGC recognized it as conservation. That means professional work and professional materials. But I'm just not certain of some of the decisions that were made. So let's take a closer look.
Yeah, I want to see this.
I mean, it's still a beautiful book. Don't get me wrong at all. Nice, vibrant covers.
Did it have tape?
I mean, I'm presuming it did, and the tape was removed. I mean, this looks like a tape stain to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. I think the back cover really shows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you can see evidence of the split spine as well, right? And then, of course, this piece missing here, bottom left, the Bob Kane signature. Batman's arm covering up the bat logo on his chest, which I think after this, the art direction said you're never allowed to cover up his logo again. I think literally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's not covered up anymore ever again on any cover after this. It's just too iconic and too in keeping with the trademark, right?
Yeah.
Back cover shows.
Yeah. There's the tape staining there.
Right there at the top staple. Little bit of a spine roll looks like here. Didn't get addressed when they did the conservation. Not significant enough to affect grade. Doesn't even show up in the grader's notes.
No.
And then more significant staining here on the bottom, at the tape, but then below rather at the staple, but then below the staple. And you see a commensurate piece missing here, a little bit less than what you see on the front cover. Still a great looking book. I mean, this is an old book, right? What are we talking about? Over 80 years old now.
85 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, well here's the question.
Would
you two guys, would you crack it knowing that you could only bump it a half a point?
Personally, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because you're looking at I think you're looking at $1,000 per half point. So
try to lessen stains while you're at it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely do that just because I want the defect list to be shorter.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would get most definitely. What do we value this thing at? 15?
All right. Well, chat, tell us whether or not you would crack this. And I think we got guesses that started actually quite a while ago.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of guesses in there.
There you go. See, this is the kind of stuff that I expect from you, Jason. Wetter is better. Yeah, I mean, keep it moist, as Salesboy likes to say. Very little action in the modern cover.
Was it?
I think they still publish Action, Jason. They renumbered it, but then they went back to the legacy numbering.
Crack it. We got a whole bunch of people want to crack
welcome. Swagglehas. Welcome. Jason says 11.5 on this book. Let's see. You Pluck My Last Comic is at 8,500, as is my buddy Mike, the Space Knight. The Professor says 9,000. Oh, speaking of, the Professor said, what did he say? He said barn owls and horned owl, great horned owl, I assume. Yeah, barn owls. If you hear a barn owl hiss, it will literally curdle your blood. It is so creepy. It is not at all cool like the other owls. It has no chill. So the Professor, sorry for that little aside, the Professor's at 9K. AJ's at 8,000 for his guess. How do they know that the staples are replaced unless
Oh, we had this discussion this week.
So it has to be
Yeah.
period correct to be in conserved. If they're just completely wrong, then it's restored.
Yeah.
But there are tells, right? So like if there's rust on the paper but no rust on the staple,
Zing.
staple's replaced. That's the biggest tell. Sometimes you can see patina not matching, not being appropriate, other little tells, but that's the main tell there. There are also manufacturing tells in the staple, whether or not it's the correct era, but I've kind of already addressed that. If it's the wrong era, it's going to be restored.
Yeah.
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 Sales boys at 10K. Votes for giving it a bath. Votes for Gellon slab. And votes for more conservation. Pluck My Last Comic says maybe 5-0. Calls for Crackit. Collecting Chaos is at 10,100. Gorilla Monkey 3K is at 7,800. Ben Stewart says Crackit, send it to Phil. JCP says 11 grand. Pluck My Last Comic says barn owls are cool. I didn't say they weren't cool. I just said they'll curdle your blood. They have no chill.
If you've ever heard a rabbit scream,
oh man,
boil your blood.
We got foxes here. They do some crazy calls. It's not at all cute like in the what does a fox say? Oh,
Look what Phil's got.
Let's do a little intermission.
Oh, what's this? Well, I figured
last guesses.
What you got there, Phil?
Look at
just
that.
a copy of this book that's gonna need some work. It's in queue, and man, I love this. Look at this. Look at that. Badass.
It's
Badass.
the last.
Oh,
It's
delicious.
the last hurrah for Batman.
with the
After
cowl at
this,
the top there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the giant ear cowl. Yeah.
Just
You got
figured I'd
Roy's
show that
copy there? Are you gonna leave Roy on there?
I think it's Ray.
Oh, Ray. Yeah. You gonna leave Ray on there?
Maybe not in this instance. I think if it was a newsstand mark, it would be an exception. But there.
Sure. Well, you know, I've got the reason I ask is because I've got Ace's copy of All-Star number 5. And I've seen multiple other comics that Ace wrote his name on. It's not a pedigree, but there was a big enough collection that made it into the market, and enough of them got slabbed that you routinely see Ace. And I think it's cute that they left it's like, it looks like a kid's writing. It's terrible writing, and it's right in the middle of the book. But I think it's kind of fun that like, oh, I could go buy another Ace book and put them together, and now they're reunited, you know? So yeah, once you erase it, it's gone forever.
That's true.
You guys have guesses?
I do. I've been sitting
this.
here
I know what this one is.
squirming on this. So
Admittedly, I mean,
this
this is right up my alley. I know these
Yeah.
books. They're in my
What
blood.
would I pay for this, knowing that I'm going to crack it? So I would say my limit would probably be about 8,000. So I would say I'm going to say 7,000. That's my guess.
Well,
Want to do the drum roll? Oh.
Anybody else?
Oh, I was supposed to do the drum roll.
Oh, that's okay.
I thought we dragged it out long enough, though.
I think we did.
6,900 this sold for.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, I was there looking at that. I was thinking, take half, 50%, and being I'm a cheap pilot. I'm sorry, thriftful. I would like to pay less than that, and that's why I kind of went, 7,000 is less than half.
I
so.
mean, think about.
I did not buy it, folks. Though.
This seems nuts to me. The work that was done.
Where was the sale at? Was it a Heritage?
Yeah,
Heritage.
This is a Heritage live auction. The work that was done is reversible. What do we think this is?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Universal, even with the staples missing, what is this, a 2.5?
Yeah.
This is worth more than $7,000.
Yep.
I mean, it really was a steal.
Indeed.
I would say it's better than a 2.5. I would give it a 3.
I mean, it's in that ballpark,
Possibly, yeah.
right? It's in that realm.
To be
And I was
conservative,
thinking,
yeah.
like, literally, if you take the staples and they're literally not even included with the book. You know,
this one hurts to see. But honestly,
Yeah,
Matter Plus, whoever bought this, great purchase. Great
Yeah.
purchase.
good on you.
yeah, well, yeah, no question about it. No question.
I
You
mean,
know,
there is
would I
there is, so Go Collect doesn't list a fair market value for a 2.5, but they list a 2.0 as $8,000. They list a 3.0 as $9,000. So 8,500 is Go Collect.
anything on
kind of
GPA at all, or
What's that?
is there anything on GPA for?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have
2.5.
GPA. I didn't go into Burger King.
Oh.
I think this is great.
No,
Did you just get it?
I got
Yeah.
it.
How much for a Big Mac? How much for a Whopper? Yeah. Congratulations to the buyer. I think the seller left some money on the table by not finishing the conservation or not having it finished on their behalf if they hired somebody. Not sure. As always, if you know about this book, if you did the conservation, if you're the owner, we're certainly not disparaging you. These are tough
Oh
decisions.
yeah.
And, you know, if you want to tell your side of the
Speak
story,
up.
reach out. We'd love to hear it.
Sure.
We're just opining over here, not judging. But I think the buyer did very well. I'm excited for them. And it's the last great issue of Tech. You know, that said, I will say this. You know, Batman doesn't really start getting his rogues gallery going until after Robin shows up.
It's true.
So while this is, you know, maybe you can be
take the good with
excited
the bad.
as the last, as the last, you know, pre-Robin
Yeah.
issue. At the same time, these are one-off villains, and nobody sticks around until after Robin comes around. Then you start really getting the greatest rogues gallery in all of comics being built up. So you got it. Yeah, as Phil said,
Well, I do have some GPA numbers for you for those books.
Oh, yeah.
A 1.5 sold in December of 24 for 7,800.
wow.
A 1.8 was 10,500 in 2019. A 2.0 is 15,000 in 2022. There was no 2.5, and a 3.0 was 9,200 in 2022. So there's your numbers.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I would definitely consider removing the conservation from
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Or
That's good.
finishing it. Go either way, but don't leave it in this halfway state.
Yeah.
You're in
I
no
think
man's
I would
land.
take it out, submit it, see what they came back at, and if they didn't like the grade, then conserve it.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Fair
That's
enough.
me.
He's a
That's me.
frequent,
That's just me.
he's a frequent flyer with CGC, so why not? I mean, AJ, to your point, AJ,
I just like taking things apart.
yeah. To your
Yeah.
point, AJ, you don't even need staples to be universal, right? Like a book can be graded missing staples. There's just just a top grade for it. That's all. But it's
I
still
think
universal.
Yeah,
in lower grades.
top grade is 3.5.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, I had fun with that.
Yeah,
Awesome book. I would love to own a pre-Robin issue of Tech.
Yep.
It has not yet happened for me, but you know, maybe someday. Someday. What'd you guys think of that?
I hated it.
That was great.
Boo. Boo.
We actually have, you know, you have. I think you have access to this. Don't you have access to the?
Oh no!
I may be the
shame.
only one who actually knows how to use it, though.
Maybe.
Well, let's take a short break to what? What are we going to plug? What are we going to talk about?
You know, I think it's a good time to mention. Thank you everyone that left a comment on the video last week, because we got to say the video got a noticeable amount of more views, and we think that's because YouTube
Yeah, there was a lot of
sends it out
traffic.
more. and it really does help. So as always, the chat, I think it's so crazy that we have this lively chat every Sunday. It's like it's so cool. In addition to that, if you watch the video later or after the video now, leave a comment too, because it really does help. It helps expand and get this out to even more people. And we're in a niche, but it helps, and we appreciate all of you. So.
Absolutely. So
And the thumbs up.
This is our ask. Click the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out one of the many folks who support our channel. Go check out their channels, including Flying L Comics and Sales. Oh, should I even start the list? If I start the list, I'm going to forget somebody, and I'll apologize. So let me not do the list, other than to say we do the list almost every week when we talk about our sponsors. And yeah, you'll see all of our friends and extended family, hopefully as many as possible, 2 weeks hence when we do our year-end wrap-up. So if you've been on, I have not yet sent out a notification to everybody, but if you've been on the show at all ever before, you're part of our family, and you'll be invited for that weekly or that year-end wrap-up 2 weeks from now. So looking forward to that. And with that, I think I'll hand the mic over to you, Phil, and we'll start our B segment. And then if you joined late or if you forgot, stick around after the B segment, because I've got a reveal, and it's a pickup, and I'm super excited. I hope you'll enjoy me sharing.
I'm excited too. That back cover, I know at least one book that has that back cover. So I'm like, is that book? I guess I'm gonna find out.
Don Carter, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you.
Oh, nice. So I figured I'd go the slightly unconventional route, as I have in the past with some pieces, but instead of just showing just like a modern piece where I recreated word balloons that were done digitally, which can be cool. This is something that clearly at one point had some stuff on it. It had a lot of issues, and I'm really proud of how this bad boy came out. And it's such a cool, almost 50-year-old cover too. So
I don't think it had that many issues. I want to say Marvel Premiere only went to like 50 or something, and then it got canceled.
I see what you did there.
And that was for you, Jason.
Nah. So we'll jump right in. I got my fun little watermarked image there.
Yeah,
yeah. So this book, it was published by Marvel in October of 1976. So next year, this thing's turning 50 years old. It's got the first appearance of everyone's favorite character, obviously, Monarch Starstalker.
Nice.
It's got a Howard Chaykin story and art. Right? That's everyone's favorite character. He's my favorite.
Absolutely.
I'm getting my tattoo next week.
Your other arm.
And it's got a cover art here by Chaykin and Milgrom. So this is where we're getting into the artistic element of the, we're usually just talking about the conservation here, but this is I think it's really cool that we are on the precipice of some of the, especially artists like Kirby, and Ditko, that are a little more well known just in the pantheon of characters that they've created. But other creators, it's becoming a more respected art form, which is really cool. And I think for good reason. And you see some of the prices these things go for too, and you're like, geez, some of these artists, people really
some of
have
them
a great
my
appreciation for it. Really, it's a whole nother realm within what we like to collect. So
Absolutely.
Larry, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I was just talking about I've looked at some of these. I keep thinking I was going to jump in and buy art, and then all of a sudden I just watch these prices and ow! These things are just like five figure, 6-figure pieces of art, and I'm like, yeah, that's I could have other things I can spend that money on.
It's true. Hey, but also I sent you guys that Archie page. So I mean, if you look at Heritage,
you did, yeah.
Chaykin cover for tens of thousands of dollars or $50,000 or even more. But you can also get more affordable things like a Archie's Girls Betty and Veronica interior page for only a couple $100, and it's twice up art, and you can get images of Archie and Betty and Veronica, and that, I mean, really, a page for $300 or $400, and you see it, you're like, that's a. I mean, it's a little outside my norm, but as a one and done example, and
it has all 3 characters on that page.
Yeah. But some Planet Comics art, Larry. That is going to cost you an arm and a leg. That's for sure.
I think interior pages of comics you loved as a kid is a place to start, and you could, as Phil said. I mean, I found a few for a few $100 or even less over the years. So if you want to dabble, that's where I would dabble. Not on covers. You got to stay away from covers. That's not.
That's where it gets.
Dabble, because that's where the big boys and girls play.
Larry, if you're spending a couple $1,000 on books, then you could get a Planet Comics interior page. And that's those are kind of cool too.
I've seen them come by, and then they.
I don't want to tempt you, but hey, just take a look. Maybe there's something.
It was way past my pain threshold. So
let's continue with this piece here. So we got this
Monarch Starstalker. Yeah.
This piece had some unconventional things going on, despite being original art from a period where the stats were adhered to the board. So the board actually kind of had 2 elements to it. You can see on the right, you had the main image of the characters drawn. And then on the left, there was a separate board that had the spaceships and all of the black ink showing space in the background. And that board is supposed to be pasted over this board to make a layered piece with stats then on top of that. So what I first had to do was kind of clean up as much of the old acidic glue residue that was all over this thing on the right. And then
I was going to ask you, what is that glue?
Yeah, so that was just old paste up glue, from when this was originally put together. And just for context, into size too, so you can kind of see a better scale. So on the left, the original art is something like 11 by 17, maybe 12 by 18, somewhere in that range. The comic is much smaller, but when you scale it up, this is basically what I'm doing in Photoshop. So I'm reverse engineering all of the text and everything there to recreate stats. So what I do is I scan the piece that you'd see on the left, and then scan a copy of the book that you see on the right, and then place the scan of the published version over the art, and then remove all of the color elements and the non-stat portions. So it's just what I need to print out. And that's
Phil,
much easier said than done.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I think the reason why that background was done on a separate page is because it's in brown, not black. And they had to run that as a separate color.
It could have been.
Yeah. That's why it wasn't done.
Yeah, it could be
in the actual page, right? Because if that was done in black, then they wouldn't have had to do that. But to do it in brown, they literally have to have that a separate page, I believe. Otherwise, they can't. There's no way to separate the black from the brown on this what is ultimately the finished art, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they would have done in production for that. Just obviously at some point it wasn't here just because there's the old remnants of the glue stain. But
sure.
Whether or not they ran it separately, that you do make a good point. It's very possible that they could have done that. Also, though, you would traditionally see all those old stats. So all of the, where it says Savage Science Fantasy in the text box and everything like that, that should have been there. That's just over time the stats fall off and they're no longer there. So sometimes they are there. It's just sometimes they're not. This stuff wasn't made to last. This was made to produce a comic book to sell for 30 cents 50 years ago. So when you think about it like that. So once I had everything prepped, on the left you can kind of see the before, and then on the right you can see an after once everything's been cleaned up. On the left, I kind of removed some of the tape at the top and cleaned up that area, and then I cleaned up a little bit around the image to the of the two characters there, and then adhered cleanly and archivally the board on the left to the board on the right to make one harmonious piece now that is prepped and ready for some stats to be adhered to it.
Very nice.
And
That's pretty
then-
cool.
So it's already looking much better, you know. We're already looking much better, and you can, on the left, you can see on the bird's wing, on the right edge there, it was folded over. So there were elements that I kind of had to recreate because paper was missing too. So just had a little bit. So here, this is a good example just to kind of show, at least in this case, luckily what I needed was literally the image of this main cover. But if I didn't have it, it's such an arduous process. You can see on the left there, you know, that's a zoomed in screenshot of Photoshop. And you can imagine removing all of the color elements from that character and leaving all the black. There isn't just, I mean, I suppose you can go in and you can, there's tricks you can do in Photoshop to do it, but there's still, to cleanly do it, you see a lot of the lines overlap. The dot matrix that the comic was printed on this was not ever made to be reverse engineered. So oftentimes I kind of have to manually go in, and even before I try to click a few buttons and make it simple, you have to clean up areas because it'll just remove black, and then all of a sudden you have to redraw areas. So thankfully in this case, this image was the main image. I was able to clean up and then scale down and shrink it and put it over its place here, and then clean. So I was able to kind of cheat, but it made a much cleaner, like if you were to try to recreate on the right what's there just on the left, if you only had that, there's no way you would have been able to make it that clean. I wouldn't have been able to make it that clean just because it's so muddled, you know, from the printing process. So it just goes to show, when you don't have that, I'm just making it as good as you can, and when you scale it back out, it's pretty high res and it's fine, but it can still be a very tedious process. So
Sure.
And then I showed one other thing too, you know, little things like this that I try to do. Sometimes you're trying to make it look even a little bit better than it was published. So on the right, you can see they used like a 12th generation comic stamp there. And at that point, it's, when you look at the earlier issues with the stamp, that stamp is crisp and clean and clear. And then over time, you can see how the text, it just starts to get muddy and just kind of, you know, so I'm adding in, you know, from my inventory of images, a nice clean stamp over there, and then I clean up the area around the stamp and put that there. So once it's all done, this is just a mock-up that I have, you know, that I printed out just to kind of cut around in place and see, you know, make sure everything looks right before printing the final version.
Nice.
So you can see it's much whiter against the artboard, which also means I got to find a good color match for this. I can't just print it on regular photo paper, otherwise it's going to look not harmonious. So that's
but interestingly, like the white of the background starscape is whiter than the rest of the yellow, right?
It's aged different. Yeah, it's aged different because it's paint. Yep.
Yeah.
But that said, I think this is the hey. So
that looks cool.
So now we're talking. Now on the right, you have the final finished piece where you have the two pieces of the artboard joined together. You have archival stats. In this case, not in an overlay. They're adhered to the board as they would have been, but done in an archival manner. The color match of the stats is harmonious with the piece. It doesn't detract from, you know, you don't look at it and say, oh, those are obviously the stats. It's all one image. It's got some discoloration and some problems still, but compared to what it used to look like, man, now it's no question. This is
the cover
art to Marvel Premiere 32.
Beautiful.
That is a beautiful piece of art.
Yeah, I love it. Let's go here.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Obviously, this creates equity for the owner here.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in the world of original art, whether stats really are original or not to a piece is irrelevant in my estimation. It's really just what does the piece look like? What it doesn't. I've seen too many, like just we go over Golden Age books. If you know Scoop comics from the 40s, there's the famous one where the guy is battling like a sea serpent. That cover recently sold at auction for well over $100,000, and it was a heavily restored piece. And the buyers, and I know going after it, did not care at all because it really was. I can't believe this piece even exists. It's 80 plus years old.
Yeah, well, it's a one of a kind.
Yeah,
exactly. So unlike comics, as we go over in restorations, very stigmatized and frowned upon. In this instance, I would say this piece was conserved too. There wasn't anything done really restoration wise.
Sure.
So whether the
it's preserved,
restored, now it's got its context back, and undoubtedly the value of this has been increased because now it's something people want to hang on their walls instead of an eyesore that is got some staining on it and is in two pieces and needs a little bit of love. So
yeah. So the starbursts on the right edge off the bird's wing, they
didn't make it onto the cover.
Yep.
There's another starburst over on the left underneath the ship's wing that didn't make it either. So there was some editing done post this second Bristol board before it went to the printer.
Look at the woman's face. It's much softer in the original art, but then you look at the published.
Oh, you're right.
And she almost looks a little scared. It's interesting for people that don't collect art or are just getting in. Sometimes they'll see those things and say, "Hey, maybe this is a forgery or a copy because it doesn't match up perfectly." But the reality is, a lot of times there's pieces where the image is drawn this way, and then you look at the published version, and they rotated the whole image and brought it back. So they do so many changes in post-production that you really at the time you're like, they really cared about that for this, and it's like they still cared about the quality of their output, even those little changes that seem silly. They were done for a reason. So,
and some of them were just editorial decisions, right? Like there's the famous Steranko Hulk. Where the Hulk the annual where he battles
they didn't like that.
Steranko's Hulk just looked way
they
too
didn't like
mean.
his face.
They had it reworked, right? Or Stan had it reworked. Couple questions here. Jason wants to know if these stats can be removed.
Sure. I would say while they can be, and everything's archival, I've never encountered anyone that would or has then removed the stats.
He wants to know if you filled in the elements near the knees, but I can see in the final work you did. And then I think it was also him. Yeah. Are there also stats typically for interior pages, or was that done right on the work and stats are just more for the covers?
Oh no, interiors are treated just like the covers. Just it's you have
like the splash page, for example,
the sound effects and all that. Yep, exactly. So,
and then what about, was there even a conversation about the barcode here? Is that something you would sometimes do, or it's up to the owner? Or
I think in this case, traditionally a lot of these covers, it would just be the open space where the barcode is, and then it would be printed later for the different versions. But also it just there were a lot of there were some publishing companies that the barcode was incorporated into the art board, so they already knew and expected it to be there. In other instances it would be kind of drawn in. I think in more modern covers I see people include the barcode in the box because there's also extra information. Sometimes the price is in there and the month and date. That's where they put it in the box. So.
And which printing, and there's information in there about the printing. There's also information about whether or not it's the cover A or an alternate cover.
Yeah. Sometimes I will do these and people want to leave it off because the box will cover art. And I think that's there's always a conversation sometimes to be said with stats. And in fact, there's sometimes people will leave off a little bit of the text just because it's going to cover up art, and they just want the masthead information. And that's kind of the cool thing. Most times people want it to look like the published version. So it's kind of a trade-off. But that is the cool subjective part about this. I make some stats for some Walking Dead pages I have, and then there's other ones that I don't, even though the characters are talking. I'm like, I don't care what they're saying here, but on this one, I want to see the words.
Sure.
So there's reasons to do it and reasons not to sometimes.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure you're
that's
very
that is
excited.
very cool.
And I know we always have a lot of interest. Mike had a couple of comments. One about pages that he got from John Romita Sr. I think they were blank Bristol boards. And then also this comment, and I'm sure you've seen some great stuff on the backs of some of these.
Sure.
I know just in my small amount of original art, I love seeing messages from the writer back to the artist, or sometimes from the editor, and little cues. I know I have some pages of The Flash that Mark Waid wrote, and he had little notes to the artist saying, like, this is the first time we're going to see this character. I want you to do this or that. In fact, one was really interesting. Mark Waid wanted the mood of the book to just get darker and heavier. So he said, like from this page on, because this is the first page that our villain appears, from this page on, every page needs to be darker until the end of the book, right? Like little notes like that are so cool. But Mike points out that often you see, especially on the older ones, this paper was expensive. The artists would do sketches, character designs, and other stuff. They would do thumbnails. They would do, rough sketches to kind of just get they would do layouts, stuff like that on the backs of these. So there's often really neat sort of artifacts of the production and the creation process on the backs of the books.
There's even
or on the
some
backs of
pieces.
Art rather.
There's a there was the cover to one of the issues of Ghost comics from the 50s, and it was one of the Good Girl art covers with the girl at the bedside. And I remember seeing the art sell on Heritage, and I was looking at it, and it was being sold as the first page of the story, either the splash page, but either way, the first page. And looking at it, I just knew it. I was like, this is what they used for the cover. And it looked like they drew the cover, and then they whited it out over a whole area and then drew something else over it to make the splash page. So they just reused it, thinking years later, people weren't going to say, oh, where's the cover art? Oh no, it was used for the interior page too. So part of the art was actually covered up. The long and short is, the person that bought it knowing this is the cover too. It's just not being advertised as such. It's actually the cover and the splash. So once they got it, they had it framed with a light on the back of the art, that when they turn the switch and the light shone, you can see the art underneath the whiteout that was obscured to make the splash page. And it was like, that is such, you got to really know your stuff to know what you're buying, to be like, I bet I can do this. And that's
amazing.
Just a cool, as a collector, the thing I usually see is like, I bought a page for, I think it was like a little over $3,000 a year or two ago, a Walking Dead page. And when I got it and turned it over to the back, you could see 275 in the top left. That was originally put there by the art rep, where that page was for sale for $275 back in 2008. So I was like, oh man, it's a little bittersweet seeing that and knowing what I paid for it, but also being like, wow, at some point, this didn't even sell immediately. It just went in the stack and they had to price it. And this was less than $300.
Wow.
So it is cool seeing that is like a piece of the history of the page too.
Yeah. My favorite art, kind of original art Easter egg, this cover is a good segue into it. So those of you that know Dungeons and Dragons know that Bill Willingham was an early artist, and the back cover to Temple of Elemental Evil actually has it. So the original art that Bill drew was very similar to this. It was a dude with a chick, but she was a little bit more like wrapped around his leg, and she was completely naked. And that was the original art. It ran on the back of cover of Temple of Elemental Evil, just the man's torso, just as like the bottom quarter of the page. So the female was not in the final printed version. But if you're interested, go look that up. Temple of Elemental Evil. I believe it's the back cover by Bill Willingham. And it's too bad that we didn't get the full version that Bill created. I really hate when the editors change the artist's vision. The purity of the art is very important.
I agree.
All right, go check that out if you haven't seen it already. I promise you will enjoy it. All right, are we ready for my?
Yeah, let's see the reveal of that book.
So last week, I guess it was just last week. Maybe it was just a little bit before that. Comic Link had an auction, and I bid on a few books successfully. I'm going to show off one a week for a few weeks until you've seen them all. But here's the first one I want to show you. This is Adventure 42.
Ooh. Sandman.
Second Sandman cover. So similar to the book we just talked about with Batman, Sandman was featured just on every other cover in this era. And this is his second cover. It's a Craig Fleischl. It's amazing. It is featured in this book, O'Brien. If you don't have a copy of The Golden Age of Comic Books by Richard O'Brien, published in 1977, go get one. If you don't understand why we're obsessed with the Golden Age, a copy of this book will help you understand. There are 40 color plates in this book, and they feature some of the greatest covers of the Golden Age. Plate number 7 is this book.
Heck yeah.
And it's the second Sandman cover. Sandman, of course, one of the founding members of the JSA. By the way, only 3 better in the census than this 7-0. That's how tough this book is. Like, census is in the 30s, 3 better than this one, okay? It's the second cover, Sandman. This is the third Sandman cover. Also a Craig Fleischl. And at 7.5, also third highest in the census.
Incredible books.
Yeah. Bookends. Incredible. What do you guys think of that?
For Golden Age, those are comparable to basically that's high grade. Those are high grade.
Oh, yeah.
Might as well be 9.0s.
Well, yeah, like I said, like only 3 better. Come on. This is this one is Letitia's copy, so they decided to leave her name on it. Anybody? I think she had good taste in comics. That's all I'm.
You should crack it and then write your name in the bottom.
And why not?
The provenance.
Speaking of provenance, I got 3 books in that auction with known provenance, and I will be sharing them with you in upcoming episodes.
Nice.
Hope you guys enjoyed that.
That's great.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been staring at that image since I was 12 years old, and I got that book, the O'Brien book. And to imagine that someday I would be able to afford to own that, not only own that book, but to own one of the best copies known is just amazing. So I was over the moon.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for for the well wishes on that and for the congrats. Phil, welcome to the show. That is Philip, my neighbor over here. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We're going to talk to you now still one more time before Christmas, but as I mentioned, Hanukkah's already underway. I'm sure there are other holidays already underway. I don't keep track of all of them, but I wish you a wonderful whatever it is that you celebrate. As a matter of fact, speaking of, I guess the Wiccans will be happy because our next episode, if I'm not mistaken, will actually fall on the winter solstice, so we can celebrate the winter solstice together.
Sweet.
Cool.
Sweet. All right, let's wrap up our show. So once again, sponsors of this episode, give them a round of applause, give them a thanks. Collecting Chaos, Salesboy Comics, You Pluck My Last Comic, Archivist Adrift, Gorilla Monkey 3K. Thank you all so much. Go check. We appreciate them. We have sponsors for next show that include Collecting Chaos, Gorilla Production 73, which is the aforementioned Gorilla Monkey 3K, Salesboy Comics, and Don Carter. Thank you all. Have a great week. As I said, we're going to see you before Christmas. But happy holidays if your holidays have already started. Hopefully you are together, you're happy, you're healthy, and we appreciate you joining us, joining the chat. We appreciate you watching on Rewind and wherever you are. Until next time, take care of one another.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks for tuning